Good morning, everyone. It's becoming clearer and clearer that these days and times in which we are living are carrying with it a significant challenge. And each of us is reacting or responding to the challenge in accordance to our current awareness, because as we're all experiencing, that changes. Some days you can be, for the day, pretty clear, and other days, clarity may be a memory. And then some days it fluctuates within the day considerably to where you wonder, am I losing my mind? So I want to present this information to you today from the premise of stirring you to realize more internally what's happening to you personally, and then from that recognition, seeing you're not the only one. It's happening to all of us. Hence why the title of today's lecture is Our Collective Dark Night of the Soul. For those of you who aren't familiar with what that means, pay attention. You'll get it before the dark night of your soul is over. So, the term ego is the I that Paul in the Bible, or Saul of Tarsus, uses to make reference to it is no longer I, but Christ. He used this to describe the process of being broken as a result of following Jesus through the cross and becoming a higher human being who operates differently. So this ego, this self, it's born thinking it's right and that everybody else is wrong. This unevolved condition is what causes wars between one group of selves who think their system is right or that their survival is more important against another group of selves who think their belief is right and also that they are more important. So in a global dark night of the soul, this will end because it is this darker night of the soul that the negative things that run through our minds, that destroy relationships and cause everyone unhappiness, is being made very clear to us. So painfully clear that we don't want to be that way anymore. So a dark night of the soul has a ghost of Christmas past visiting us and showing us to ourselves, and we don't like what we see. And we change just as Scrooge changed. So the death on the cross, or the death of ego, is the evolution of ego. It is a transforming from a self that has negative words about other selves to processing positive words and becoming understanding and loving toward others. The change in the words that come into the broken and humbled ego results in good relationships because there is no more condemnation and no more competition. Something to look forward to, yes? So, let's go to the unevolved ego for a moment, just so we get a clearer picture. Unevolved ego is self-centered. People in pain are self-centered. The painful night will reveal the self-centeredness by intensifying its need to survive emotionally, by putting itself first, being needy, and needing to be taken care of as if no one else mattered. All you want to do is talk about yourself and what's going on in your life. I, me. The unevolved ego thinks it's always right. I mean, How else can it be? The ego self is always misperceiving, judging, and misjudging, and its truth is deformed all the way until the end of the path in order to keep pulling the rug out from under it and humbling it and forcing it to be even more open. You may act better on the outside, but there's no kidding yourself that you're not walking the planet as God. If there's any condemning thoughts in your mind where you sense you are looking down on someone, you know you're not right. The lessons aren't over. Ego is still going through the process of puffing itself up and being knocked down because it hasn't finished evolving. So if you begin to look at this and see, does this start to sound like something, maybe a higher power, is working with us by working through us, even though we may think we're still the ones in control? So unevolved ego puts the worst interpretation on life, talks negatively, thrives on drama and gossip, and all misperceiving, judging, and misjudging of others, rubbernecks on the road to get a view of others' misfortune, and it hungers for bad news in the newspaper and on TV. Sound familiar? Oh, by the way, the unevolved ego also gets defensive. So if perchance you found a voice in you saying, "That's not me," unevolved ego believes the scenario of the future coming into their mind are real. This unevolved ego is constantly setting itself up for a fall, coming up with endless concepts about how things should be or how things should transpire that don't transpire, and you get angry and you cause yourself pain because you didn't get what you set yourself up for. Okay. So when ego is evolved, these words stop coming in. Evolved ego is all about incorrect and negative words not coming in anymore and being at peace with whatever is going on or whatever will be going on. Now here's a word that we'll probably become more and more familiar with and the experience, and that is unevolved ego still feels humiliation concerning its outward demolished condition until it makes the shift. Think about the times that you have felt this humiliation. And if you can, pull yourself away from the identification of it and see, okay, this feeling that I'm feeling right now, this humiliation, is because I believe I am the experience I'm having. And the experience is there to evolve me. The more truth you have about evolution of your ego means the more you can handle God's capacity and God's ability. Now allow yourself to start bringing this together with the realization that it is God working with you, through you, evolving your ego so that you can come to the place of being a God person. All the words that are going to stop coming in are being revealed. And they need to show us who we still believe we are egoically. Of course, the depths of this is different for everyone. The more you see as God sees. At the end of the lessons, the words don't need to come into your mind anymore. As you go through the pain and see the negative and incorrect words that are coming into your mind, making you look at everything about themselves and how they are messing up the entire world, and then these words stop. And that's because they're no longer necessary. You've learned the lesson. Then the only words that come in are the righteousness of God. Right thinking, right acting, right living. Righteousness. He will move you to act as He would to help everyone to heal their unevolved egos and how it's screwing up everything. He will move you to set up boundaries that they cannot cross. You will become strong in what you do. You will become strong in what you say to help everyone. The evolving ego is very aware that it is not separate and never was. Because now it receives only words bringing you to a place to be the person to move as God moves. Walking by faith is knowing what you are becoming. It lets go of thinking it has ever been in control and sees how a human being can get past a life of problems. The problems will fade as the lessons are learned. The problems really are allies in disguise. They're there to help you help yourself. The evolving ego becomes another self, a higher self that isn't about its own self anymore. The self that is transformed into a higher form of a human being, it then acts as God would act. At this level, you know you are a part of the being of God, and you're being moved powerfully to do what needs to be done on a bigger scale. So wherever you are in this process, I encourage you to rejoice and be glad that you see yourself in the process and haven't stayed in such an unconscious state that you don't realize it on some level. I encourage you to rejoice and be glad that you have the growing relationship connection to the God within and the God without that you realize is working in you, working through you, and all humanity, to where this is a time of collective dark night of the soul awakening. I know. I've gone over this lecture at least 100 times since it was brought to my attention that I would be giving it. And every time I have felt the challenge of it, because I have felt my own ego resisting, denying, only to keep coming back and coming through that with the growing light of reality. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. And not my will, but thy will be done. So thank you for your attention. And that little handout sheet that you received, it might give you some insight into some of the things that might just zippity-doo-dah into your bright, shining mind. All right. Thank you.